All right, and welcome. It's time for another Tom and Shane video. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. at Mountain Time, and there we are. Believe it or not, here we here we are, a couple minutes late, but hey, I lost track of time, Shane. I wasn't watching my time, so. Hey, if you're here for the first time or if it's your last time, subscribe, ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified when we have another podcast, and like us, leave a comment. We like that kind of stuff. And if you're really wealthy, you'll want to support us monetarily. So by all means, contribute. Our Patreon is description is below, and there's lots of benefits for doing that. So by all means, do it. And of course, we're brought to you by StreamYard. It's so easy, even I can run it. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else to tell you. There's a link in the description below to check out a free version of this and make your own podcasts and make money on YouTube. And today, Shane, we're going to talk about why in the hell do we still have a UN? What the hell's going on? I mean, talk about a waste of space. Man,
Yeah.
Why?
Well, its main purpose, of course, is as far as I'm concerned, it's the red phone to the world. We remember back in the mutual assured destructive era. There was the big deal about the red phone between Moscow and Washington D.C. But now the only red phone left on the planet, and we're not talking cellular, of course. Is the UN. And it's 193 members.
There we go. Now the internet's back. Thank you. We're getting a low signal from the assholes at Spectrum. So anyway, we'll try and muddle through it. There's no snow. There's no nothing out there. But anyway, go ahead, Shane.
I was just saying that the principle of the UN was to bring the world countries together, 193 members, including 11 territories and 3 observers. So basically, every country in the world belongs to this club. It's a global club, and the only thing that basically sets it apart from anything else, it's the red phone to the world. Like Moscow and Washington back in the 60s and 70s. Having a red phone so they could prevent mutual assured destruction. But that hasn't helped the UN, and we'll talk about the numbers as we go through the process.
Yeah, it really hasn't. Uh, I don't see that it's done anything for world peace at all. It's more a body where everybody sits and bitches about the world. If you look at the UN Charter, everything in it says human rights, rights of women, rights of children, rights of the people to be free.
All minorities,
every minority is protected. Yet we've got China sitting at the security. We got Russia sitting there. If there's anybody in the world that is not people friendly, it's certainly those two. The other thing is that the 4 largest contributors, the U.S. does 22% of the budget, China 12%, Japan 8%, Germany 6%, and together those 4 finance 49% of the entire budget, and we do almost a quarter of that 49. So again, what are we getting for our money, Shane?
It's a 9.4 billion annual budget. They principally have 3 organizations. We can go over them. I mean, the one is the World Health Organization that takes 5.4 of the $9 billion they get, basically, which is a staggering number considering what a failure it's been. Look, the Rockefellers, they signed the treaties for the UN in 1945. Rockefeller family bought the property in New York after they tried to create a city unto its own, but they couldn't find any country willing to do that. But instead, the Rockefeller family, $9.8 million for the property. It's got to be a multi-billion-dollar property, of course, today. And they started building in 47. Took them to 52. Took them 5 years to build it. And they moved in. It always has become an issue for New York City because of all the meetings. It ties up the city down because it's right downtown, and there's always an argument back and forth. It's an international territory, so it's unto itself, even though it's in the United States and in New York City in particular. So anybody with a UN passport is, persona non grata. They can rape, pillage, steal, not pay parking tickets, and there's nothing the U.S. State of New York, or the city of New York can do about it. So
yeah,
they
they've got all
they
these.
even get a free pass to the airport to jump a plane and go home.
Yeah, they've got this diplomatic immunity crap
Yeah,
going on, and I don't know. It's
so
so
it's like
stupid.
a mini Vatican actually in the middle of the United States. The
Yeah.
other thing too is there's two big criticisms. The structure, of course, is the Security Council, as you brought up. The U.S. just got voted in as the president of the Security Council. It rotates every year.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the UN peacekeepers. It's one of the largest standing armies in the world, 150,000 plus, and a large part of their budget. And we've in the past seen the use of it, not very successfully, because no one recognizes it that's in a civil war or fighting. If regrettably the whole idea was, gee, it's like wearing a cop's uniform or an ambulance or a doctor's white coat. If you got that blue cap and UN, on the back of your bulletproof vest, no one should shoot at you. Well, that's not proven to be true. So neither have been successful. That's right.
Yeah.
Neither.
Well, where is the UN on the Ukraine? Because they've been a charter member. They're a founding member since 1945.
That's right.
They joined when they were part of the USSR. They kept their seats when they left, when Russia dissolved and all the countries that were under Russian control kind of went their own way. And so, why isn't the UN? Why aren't peacekeepers in the UN fighting side by side with the Ukraine folks?
Well, I guess for a couple of reasons. The first and foremost is the most important. 40% of the UN force is made up of Americans and Germans and Europeans, British and France. So that's sort of like an indirect involvement outside of NATO. That's one reason. The second reason is the Russians will shoot them. I mean, no one's going to want to send their men over there under the banner of a peacekeeping force from the UN, and they're going to get shot. The Russians are hiring mercenaries from Belarus, from Chechnya, from Syria, anywhere they can.
Yeah.
And so these people are, they're like the contract mercenaries America had for 20 years in the Middle East. Basically out of the reach of anybody.
Yeah, that I don't know. The UN just seems like a useless body to me. I can't see a UNICEF even is not getting the job done. They're not in Ukraine passing out food baskets to folks.
No, and the other World Health Organization. I like this one, the World Intellectual Property Organization. Wow. China takes abuse of that all the time. That's in Geneva, Switzerland. Yeah. World Meteorological Organization. Oh, that's been around since 1950. I guess they're full blown into blowing up. Actually, the global warming theory, because they keep coming out with reports every year that the world is doing quite well. Yeah. And then, of course, you got the World Tourism Organization. Now, that's an interesting one. I mean, of all the things in the world, right? Yeah. Really, tourism is something
I'm glad the UN's in charge of my Hawaiian vacations.
Yeah, and it's of all places, of course, it's in Madrid, Spain. Of course it is.
Of course,
what a wonderful city. Yeah,
Mediterranean, right there.
The World Health Organization is in a lovely place called Geneva, right in the mountains. Yeah. What a great place to work and get paid $400,000 a year to watch people starve, basically, right?
Well, a lot of people have said, we should kick the UN out of New York, send it over to Europe, because, everybody on that continent, Europe and Asia are all kind of tied together there. So they should be over there somewhere, and we should not even be in it because, the majority of the problems are there, not here.
Well, there's no question about that. I mean, when you look at the criticisms and the issues at hand, that basically represent what the United Nations does. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the World Court is basically a subsidiary of the United Nations, and
Yeah.
it's in Belgium, and it has spent millions over the years, prosecuting people, but it hasn't had any great success putting anyone in jail, so to speak, or paying, for their evil deeds. And it's a sad reality that under the guise of freedom, which we love, and even the guise of democracy and
Mm-hmm.
old law, old English law, there just doesn't seem to be that thing called accountability in any global organization. And the UN, of course, is one of the worst because it's most corrupt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These
Yeah. Bruce
people are
Bruce
paid.
points that out to us.
Yeah.
UN's one of the most corrupt bureaucracies in the world, and let London host them. Put it over there.
Yeah,
They could put it
anywhere would
next
be
to
good.
Buckingham Palace,
Yeah,
and
right.
it'll be a nice place to be there. So,
Well,
uh,
you look like it's over 75 years later, and it's $1 trillion they've spent. I mean,
well, yeah, on what? On yeah,
$1 trillion.
yeah,
Wow, that's
and show me the world benefit of that $1 trillion. I mean,
well. Of course, they take all the benefit. They take all the credit for reducing poverty and
mhm,
helping the starving, hundreds of millions of people, which really hasn't been. Then independent governments have done that. The U.S., Canada,
mhm,
even the Ukraine at one time, but not now so much because of what's going on. So, they like taking credit for other people's efforts, and I guess that's one way of justifying, the astronomical costs of these people sitting for meetings, and they don't sit that often. I mean, it's not. It's like the U.S. Congress, right?
yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
they're overpaid and underworked is
that's right.
what
Yeah,
they are. And
yeah.
again, I want to remind people who pays for all this stuff. Whoops, that's not the right one. This is the right one. 22%. We pay almost a quarter of the half of
Annual budget.
that the
Yeah,
four folks do there. So,
yeah. Like we pay,
yeah,
U.S. pays like 2.5 billion. We
hmm,
we kick out about 600 million
yeah,
as a contributing country. But
hmm,
of the 193 countries, over 150 pay nothing and owe money to the UN. Like
yeah,
they just don't pay. Even the wealthy Arab countries, who benefit from it more than anyone else because of the veto power the
hmm,
Security Council has. And um, as everyone knows, anything that's brought before the Security Council, 12 people seated and 6 primary members that have veto power.
yeah,
And so any one of those with the veto power
mhm,
can stop anything.
yeah.
It's
And with
a very
Russia and China there, they stop everything. So it
that they
doesn't.
don't
I mean,
like. That's right.
it's just a hodgepodge of crap there. League of Nations, that was what FDR originally wanted to call
No,
it.
no, that was no. The League of Nations was what's his name? Will President
Woodrow
Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson back in
Oh, maybe
22. Yeah,
Wilson. Yeah, you may be
yeah.
right. Yeah, okay.
He
Anyway.
started out with the League of Nations in 1919, and then when they got to 1922 to split the world up after World War One, they all dumped the idea of the league. It only lasted the idea for like 18 months.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. It still seems useless to me to have this group. I don't see any benefit for our tax dollars going to this thing and paying the bulk of it. Um,
Well, the primary
it's
beneficiary being the U.S. shouldn't be the one funding it because it's for the betterment of everyone else. I
mhm,
mean, all the countries out there that need the support of the UN, they're the ones that should fund it.
yeah,
That's just that's how I feel. I mean, I think it's gratuitous that it exists because it brings people together, not as you say for any real benefit, but just on the basis of what it is today in the 21st century, and with with the link of the world even more relevant than it was 70 years ago. I just think it's the countries that need it that should pay for it. You know,
Well, that's what I say. Most of them are in Europe anyway. And what are you going to tell me? What Britain can't pony up more than Japan? I mean, come
well, that's
on.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what's so bizarre. You know, it's,
yeah, yeah. I can understand Germany. What about France? You know, I mean, France got a couple bucks. You know, I mean,
well, that's right. You know,
yeah.
you
And
know,
where's Russia? You know, I mean, I realize Russia is about the GDP of Canada, but come on.
I mean, why don't we have a UN, United Nukers,
Yeah.
place, where all the people with nukes,
Hmm.
why don't they have a building they meet in and, spend
Yeah.
$100 million a year talking about whether or not to use their nuclear
Use
weapons,
the
right?
nukes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's
Well,
what, yeah.
yeah. Well, I still think the UN should be at the forefront of going after Putin for this Ukraine deal. You know, I mean, they should be more vocal. I mean, they are a world organization. We're supposed to be world peacekeepers. We're supposed to, rein in these, whatever. But when you've got Russia on the Human Rights Council and Ghana and, some of these others where the human rights are nowhere near human or right in those
Well, yeah,
countries.
I,
That's
what,
ridiculous.
yeah, one things that I just have to comment about because I just find it funny. You and I grew up in a time when the world was starving in the 60s, baby boomers, and every Halloween we'd go out with UNICEF boxes to collect pennies.
Yeah.
And by 1978, I think it was, the UN stopped it because the massive amount of pennies that they were collecting weren't worth what, the value of them was.
Yeah.
What a big mistake that was. They should have warehoused them and made a
Mhm.
fortune
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I was gonna say they'd all be collectible now. So,
Yeah, well, now that could all melt it down and sell it at the price of copper
well,
today.
that's true. You could have done that. I don't know what we were thinking. So I
They
don't
they
know.
they don't think much about things like that because they don't care. The International Monetary Fund is deeply involved, and
Mhm.
they worked have worked as the World Bank with the United Nations in critical financial crises. And
Mhm.
back in the 70s, you had Argentina and Paraguay in 80s, and then
Yeah.
in the 90s, you had Europe. You remember the hundreds of billions of dollars raised by the UN, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund for Greece,
Mhm.
and hasn't helped. But
No.
remember that there was that mad panic back in the late 1990s that the whole world was going to come apart if we don't save Greece. And
Yeah. That's
it was
true. Yeah.
in the news cycle for about 2 months with the
Yeah.
government collapsed, and then they put in a new government, and then he negotiated.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
man.
I mean, the examples that you can look at of
Mhm.
peacekeeping, financial advice, financial support, feeding the world that we've talked about,
Yeah.
not a big and don't even go near the World Health Organization. I
No.
mean,
No. No. That's not gonna fly. And the I don't know. These guys are just Greece cooked the books to get into the
that's
EU
correct.
anyway.
That's
You know,
right from the
I
very
mean,
beginning. Yeah.
so they shouldn't even be in the EU, but they are. So but I don't know. It's uh,
Yeah,
European Union's another.
you had to have 5.2% growth annually to
Yeah,
join the EU originally back in the 90s.
yeah,
So Greece, issued a lot of sovereign debt because even though they would be giving up their Greek dollar to take on the
mhm,
euro, that the deal, the Mitrage treaty that created the EU said that each member country could have its own sovereign debt. Wow, what a
yeah,
deal! So
yeah.
what they did is they utilized that to create the 5.2% growth in their economy to be able to be eligible, and then all of a sudden it blew up because it was all
Mhm.
debt,
Yeah, yeah. It was fake, so to speak.
basically.
So,
But that's the story, so we should tell it.
all right. Well, another story we should tell you is that we are on radio every Saturday from 8 to 11 Mountain Time, and we're at kmmsam.com. You can listen to us anywhere in the world. No sign up, nothing to join, no personal information needed. You just go over there and listen. That's all you have to do. You know, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to do anything, you know. And if you want to listen to our past shows, they're also there. Go to kmsam.com, click on Tom and Shane's podcast. You'll get all of our previous podcasts. We've got 8,400 downloads of our shows, including these.
And, that's right. You know, Tom and I have worked very hard over the years to create a library of shows for everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, they'll be there forever. And the great thing is, you know, it tracks what we've said, the observations we've made, the information we provided.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know, it's a 4-star rating, 1 out of 4 as far as I'm concerned, because we've been on the button. So
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, so we hope you'll join us. You can call us, you can text us, you can be part of the big broadcast, and it's 3 hours of conversation. Obviously, this weekend, this Saturday, we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court and
the Fed.
And the Fed, Roe v. Wade and the Fed. So we got a lot to discuss on those things. So all right. Well, Shane, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. So we've done the UN for you. So
there you go. And if we ever do the Supreme Court, I'm going to actually go out and rent a judge's robe, just so
yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, you need to be in a robe
with one of those square ties, that they wear in Canada.
Well, you need the stripes on it like Rehnquist put on his. Yeah, you need
I have pearl buttons. That's why I wear this Western.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you're snappy dresser, man.
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah.
Well, send your chauffeur out and get that robe, and we'll do the Supreme Court down the road here sooner or later. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Tom and Shane, Business and Politics. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave us a like, leave us a comment, and we really appreciate you guys very much for being with us every couple of days. So thanks so much for being here. Last comment, Madeline says these agencies need to be reevaluated quickly, not one country, unless they need something from us. We will back us. It's time America takes back her dignity. And I couldn't agree more, Madeline. That's an excellent comment. So
20 years ago, she said that.
Yeah. So there you are. All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. So we will see you on our next podcast. Bye for now.